Hello everyone! Praise be Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Every research project has a story. While Chapter 1 introduces the problem and Chapter 2 reviews what other scholars have said, Chapter 3 is where you roll up your sleeves and explain the how. This is where you tell your audience the exact methods you use to collect and analyze data. Chapter 3 is referred to us as the Research Methodology chapter, outlines the methods and procedures used in research, providing a clear roadmap for how the study was conducted. Why the methodology chapter matters? Many students underestimate chapter 3. They think that it's just about saying what you did, but in reality, it's much more. This chapter first builds credibility. Readers and examiners want to know your results aren't just guesswork. Explaining your process builds trust. Second, ensures reproducibility. Another researcher should be able to follow your steps and arrive at a similar findings. And lastly, it clarifies decisions. Did you choose a survey instead of an interview? Your reader need to know why. In writing the chapter 3 of our research, it is very important to consider its key components. The key components of chapter 3 is 1. Introduction, 2. Research design, 3. Population and sampling, 4. Data collection methods, 5th. Analysis plan or the data analysis plan, 6 is the ethical considerations, 7. The limitations and delimitations, and lastly is the summary. Introduction. Begin with a brief introduction that outlines the purpose of the methodologies per chapter. Explain why the chosen methods are appropriate for your research questions and objectives. The next one is the research design. Describe the overall strategy or framework of your study. This could be qualitative or quantitative or mixed methods. Justify your choice of design and explain how it aligns with your research goals. Again, what to include in research design? First is the research approach, or this is qualitative, quantitative, or mixed. Second, the specific design, descriptive, correlational, experimental, or case study. Third, why this design is appropriate for your research questions. And lastly, how it aligns with your study's goals and hypotheses. Population and sampling. Detail the population from which your sample was drawn. Explain the sampling techniques used, how participants were selected, and the size of your sample. This section is crucial for establishing the validity of your findings. What to include in population sampling? First, description of your target population, age, background, characteristic. Second, sampling method like simple random, purposive snowball, and stratified. Third, sample size and justification, statistical power, relevance, or saturation. Next is inclusion and exclusion criteria. And lastly, the limitation of your sampling strategy, if applicable. Data collection methods. What is data collection methods? It outlines the tools and techniques used to gather data. These include surveys, interviews, observations, and experiments. Be specific about how data was collected, including any instrument or protocol used. This section delves into how you gather your data. Specify whether you use primary or secondary data and provide details about the process involved. What is primary data and secondary data? Primary data, information you collected directly through tools like interviews, surveys, experiments, and other field observation. For example, if you conducted interviews, explain the interview structure, duration, and location. While secondary data is the existing data obtained from the sources like academic journals, books, or online databases. Be sure to mention how you verified the reliability of these sources. Additionally, justify your choice of data collection method. For instance, if you use a questionnaire, discuss how it was designed to capture relevant data and whether it was a pre-tested or reliability. Now we have data analysis plan. Describe how you process and analyze the data collected. Include any statistical methods or software used for analysis and explain how these methods help answer your research question. In data analysis, we have one is the quantitative analysis. Specify the statistical tests and procedures used. Include details on software used for analysis. Second, we have qualitative analysis. Describe the methods employed to analyze non-numerical data such as coding and thematic analysis. Be transparent about your process. For instance, if you coded qualitative data manually, discuss how you ensured consistency and avoided bias during the analysis. Now we have ethical consideration. It discusses the ethical standards adhered to during your research. This includes how you ensured participant confidentiality, informed consent, and the overall integrity of the research process. Ethics play a vital role in research. This section should explain how you ensured the safety, rights, and privacy of your participants. Include the following: informed consent. Describe how participants were informed about the study and their voluntary involvement. Confidentiality. Explain how personal information and responses were kept secure. Ethical approval. Mention whether your study received clearance from an ethical committee or institutional review board. For example, you might state that the participants were provided with an information sheet outlining the study's purpose and signed consent form before participating. We have limitations and delimitations. Acknowledge any limitations in your study that may affect the result. Delimitations refer to the boundaries you set for your research, such as specific populations or contexts. Every study has limitations, and acknowledging them demonstrates your awareness of the constraints of your research. Some common limitations include small sample size, limited geographic scope, potential biases in data collection or analysis. Discuss how these limitations might impact your findings and suggest ways future research can address them. For instance, if your study involved a small sample, you might recommend conducting similar research with a larger and more diverse population. Lastly, we have summary. Conclude the chapter with a summary that recaps the key points discussed. Now, we have tips for writing chapter 3. First, be clear and concise. Use straightforward language and avoid jargons. Ensure that your writing is organized and flows logically from one section to the next. And second, justify your choices. Every methods and decision should be justified and linked to your research objectives. This helps establish credibility and allows others to replicate your study. By following these guidelines, you can effectively write Chapter 3 of your research project, ensuring that it's comprehensive, clear, and credible. This chapter is essential for demonstrating the rigor of your research methodology and for allowing others to understand and replicate your study. Thank you for watching. May God bless us all.